Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin, the one true king. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Also, please check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. Let's go ahead and jump in. So what we've seen transpire over the last few days, right, is Bitcoin starting to regain some of that dominance. So if you remember, back when Bitcoin crossed the 20-week moving average, let's go ahead and hide these so we can see when Bitcoin crossed the 20-week moving average back in April 27th, the week of April 27th. It was at that time that a lot of coins initially bled against Bitcoin, right? Even Ethereum was one of the coins that initially, when Bitcoin got moving above the 20-week moving average, coins like Ethereum even bled against Bitcoin. And the reason is because, there's two reasons, right? First of all, when Bitcoin initially goes above its 20-week moving average, it's very bullish, right? When it crosses from below it to above it, it tends to get a big kick, right? And it starts moving up rather quickly. The market focuses on Bitcoin. Then at some point, when Bitcoin kind of stabilizes and it calms down a little bit, but it doesn't go all the way back to where it was, right? It maybe just enters this accumulation range, right? Like a reaccumulation range. This is when altcoins and coins like Ethereum do really well, right? But the minute that Bitcoin corrects back down to the 20-week, this is when a lot of altcoins will bleed heavily, not only into USD, but into Bitcoin. So, it's important to remember that Bitcoin is the king of the market, right? It does control the market, whether you like it or not. The best thing for a lot of coins, for a lot of other coins to do well, again, is if Bitcoin is bullish, but it's not moving too much, right? It's not moving up too quickly, it's not moving down too quickly. Either of those things happen, then most coins are going to bleed. So let's zoom in to what's currently happening. So today, Bitcoin has been flirting with around $11,000. It's moved above it a few times, it's come back down below it a few times, but more or less, we're holding some resistance at that level. If you kind of look at what's happened over the last few months, we were in this region right here, right? In fact, if we extend this accumulation phase over, you can see that it was essentially where we were back in January and February. And then this you might call the effects of the pandemic, right? And this capitulation here, I think, was actually really nice for the market, right? It was a lot of people were completely taken off guard. And a lot of that money, a lot of dumb money kind of sold at the bottom, and then a lot of smart money was buying at the bottom. And this, I think, has been helping to fuel this rally. So we had our final capitulation, and note that in this cycle, we had two capitulations, right? We had this capitulation over here, this major capitulation, which was, if we look back, it was approximately 50% over the span of just a few weeks. And then here we had another capitulation of down to the wick of 60% over a few weeks. And again, it makes sense that we're going to see these large capitulations, or at least more than one, especially given the fact that as we've said before, that the cycles are lengthening, so we expect it to take longer to really gear up and get moving. Now we are holding the 20-week. We at least for now, we have been talking about the 20-week moving average for a long time, right? And we discussed that you must always be ready for a dip of Bitcoin back down to the 20-week moving average, right? We never know when it's going to happen. And we talked about it a lot looking back at the last cycle, recognizing that you don't know when these dips are going to happen, right? These 20% dips to the 20-week, or 30% dips to the 20-week. We never know when they're going to happen. Sometimes 40%. We don't know when they're going to happen, but you must always be prepared. Now, what happens typically when Bitcoin dips to the 20-week? Well, you guys saw it, right? Altcoins start to bleed against USD. Altcoins bleed against Bitcoin, typically speaking. And the coins that went, especially parabolic during say a bullish time for Bitcoin, these coins also stand to lose the most, right? So if a coin went up like say 1,000%, there's definitely, in my opinion, a much stronger selling pressure on those coins, right? Because they moved up so much, people are starting to see Bitcoin move. They're moving their money back into Bitcoin, or they're going to safety, right? They're going into fiat, into stable coins. to help protect some of their profits, right? Because when Bitcoin moves in either direction too quickly, it's most likely going to be a bleed of those coins back to Bitcoin, and this is where people take profits back into Bitcoin. Okay, now if you're on the premium list, right, which is a lot of you are, we talked about during this move. We said when we came back down, we said, all right, guys, for the time being, it's better to focus on Bitcoin. And I gave you guys the 3 coins that I was focusing on. We'll talk about those in a little bit. But I said, okay, it's time to focus on a few coins, or at least I'm focusing on a few coins right now. But primarily, we're not looking to be jumping really hard into altcoins, right? And the reason is because when Bitcoin when it's in close proximity to the 20-week moving average, there's so much uncertainty when it comes with altcoins that a lot of people don't have the confidence, right? Bitcoin is only approximately 10% above its 20-week, right? The 20-week moving average is a little over $10,000. The price of Bitcoin is right under $11,000 at the time of this video. A 10% drop, right, would take Bitcoin back down to the 20-week moving average. Now, in that scenario where Bitcoin might drop to the 20-week, it's in this scenario that altcoins that have already been bleeding against USD and that have already been bleeding against Bitcoin, they would continue to bleed, right? So let's say we wake up, tomorrow or the next day or something, and in one of the universes of our multiverse, let's suppose that Bitcoin drops 10%. Let's say it drops back down to the 20-week, it wicks down to the 20-week. Well, a lot of altcoins that are already down, right? A lot of altcoins that are already down significantly, they're going to continue to go down, right? And we said this before, right? Anytime that Bitcoin, as if it's close to the 20-week moving average and it continues to retest the 20-week moving average, every retest of it, it's going to yield lower altcoin prices, right? So if you see a coin, say there's a lot of great examples, right? But I don't want to single any specific coin out because it's basically all of them. But you look at the coin, you see, okay, Bitcoin was at the 20-week, then Bitcoin went back up. If it went back to the 20-week now, a lot of your altcoins will be down less than what they were last time the Bitcoin tested the 20-week. And this is why I say that it's times like this that you have to be especially careful with altcoins because of the proximity of Bitcoin to its 20-week moving average. Remember, Bitcoin is king, and it rules the roost, right? It does rule the roost, and you have to respect that, right? I mean, there's one of those graphics that kind of show how people think when they enter cryptocurrency. They think that Bitcoin is the best thing. Then you go a little bit longer, right? And then you start thinking, okay, well, maybe these other coins, and then you go even longer, and then you have like this list of 50 coins. But then as you're in the market longer and longer, you kind of start to revert back to just a few coins, and then at some point you kind of recognize that Bitcoin is definitely the main coin to follow, and that you can use Bitcoin and very specific movements of Bitcoin to try to time entries and exits out of altcoins, right? Out of other coins, because as we've said before, Bitcoin needs to be bullish and moving sideways, right, where it's 20% above its, it doesn't have to be 20%, but it has to be significantly above its 20-week moving average and moving sideways. This is when these other coins, right, this is when they really shine. And this is all, you're essentially becoming part of the market, becoming more efficient, right? The more people that are clued in to what's happening over time, it's going to, the market's just going to become more efficient, and people are going to start accounting for this more and more. But for the time being, there are still some inefficiencies in the market, and it's all about looking at the data. What does the data say? And then trying to use that data to inform your future decisions. It does not mean that the same thing has to play out, but I find that oftentimes human emotion does not really change, and that you'll see the same thing play out over and over and over again. Okay, so as we've said before, Bitcoin, it does this thing a lot of times, even in bull markets, right, where it takes, it might take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back, right? So in this situation, as we mentioned before, right, going 2 steps forward and then coming 1 step back, and at least for now, the step backward is the support region, which was our prior resistance area of this accumulation phase, right? This was our prior accumulation phase, where the top was approximately $10,000, 10.5 if you go up to the wick. or thereabouts, and then that's currently where we're also holding support, right? If you zoom in, we're holding support on this level. And more specifically, the first candle went to the 20-week moving average, right? The second weekly candle went even below the 20-week, right? It went slightly below the 20-week. The third candle, we actually haven't tested. We're not actually on the 20-week right now. In fact, the lowest we've come, the price was still approximately 2% above the 20-week moving average, right? So in the same manner that we held this as support, which was our prior resistance for a couple months in this reaccumulation phase, which we did call this a reaccumulation phase many times, and said the longer we stay in this, the more likely we are to go up. Unfortunately, here we came back down, tested the 20-week. Now we're going back up, and now if this is our say like a new step, and we came like one step back, we have to keep an eye on this $11,000 level, because this was essentially our prior support in this reaccumulation phase. It could act as a little bit of resistance for a little while, but then again, we've seen what Bitcoin's capable of. It could easily just blast past it, just like it blasted past $6,000 back in 2019, when everyone thought that was going to be something that was going to take months for it to really work through. It really did not take that long for Bitcoin to. It basically just blasted through it like any other day of the week. And so we're currently looking at it. Okay, we can say, we're at the top here of this intermediate region, this intermediate step. We'll see what happens. And again, you have to consider that it is always, it's certainly risky for altcoins, right? Because a move back down to the 20-week would spell disaster for a lot of altcoins. So I'm just saying, this is not financial advice. I'm just warning you to be careful at this time, because when Bitcoin is moving significantly like this, right, where it's going down 20% in a relatively short period of time, going up 10% in a relatively short period of time, this can be bad for altcoins, right? And we've said this all along. If Bitcoin moves down too quickly or it moves up too quickly, altcoins will most likely bleed against Bitcoin. So where we currently are is we're looking at our weekly candle. We're going to just see how it plays out. Maybe we'll become really bullish and come into this region. Maybe we'll get rejected and come back down to the 20-week. Either way, the 20-week moving average is going to continue to move up, right, with time. And this is why we've said, for the price of Bitcoin to stay above its 20-week, it has to continue to go up, right? Because if it starts moving sideways for a while or slightly down, really just moving sideways, it's not going to take too terribly long for it to get below the 20-week, right? To see a closing candle below the 20-week. And we've seen what happens in the past when we have these weekly closes below the 20-week moving average, right? This one came straight down to the 100-week moving average, and then this one came down to the 200-week moving average, with a wick down to the 300-week moving average. So again, we know what happens when it breaks, and given the proximity of Bitcoin to the 20-week moving average, this is why I'm saying, you have to be careful, because any slight move, whether Bitcoin goes up really quickly or down really quickly, will likely significantly cause altcoins to bleed against Bitcoin. The best thing for altcoins, right, would be for Bitcoin to go sideways. And it could mean that Bitcoin goes up first and then starts going sideways. Maybe it just goes sideways in this region. This would probably be good for altcoins over a weekly or monthly time frame. But again, moving back down against the 20-week would not be good for altcoins in the short term. So moving up too quickly or moving down too quickly, not great for altcoins in the short term. If you're on the premium list, which, by the way, it's into the Cryptoversecom. We have a lot of people on it. Remember, prices are going up in 12 days, September 28th. So if you want to get added to the premium list before prices go up, so that you can get grandfathered in at the lower prices, make sure you sign up within the next 12 days. You get access to a premium Telegram alerts channel, right, which is where I give people my candid thoughts in the market, where I see things. I post a ton of charts on there. It's basically daily updates. I don't think I've missed a day yet. You get access to a private chat room. So if you're looking for a community that's a little bit more mature than most Telegram communities, you'll get access to that. You get access to a weekly premium report, a weekly premium video. And by the way, you get access to all the prior weekly reports and weekly videos, which I think stand the test of time. So if you go back and watch those, I think they do a really good job of being kind of like, good no matter when you watch them. And then also you get access to a risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade these momentum shifts in the market, as well as a dynamic DCA strategy dashboard. So make sure you sign up in the next 12 days if you want to get access before the prices go up, and you can pay for 12 months to get a 15% discount. So check it out. One of the things we were discussing on there, though, and we've been talking about it for a couple weeks now, right, is holding off on altcoins, right? A lot of people, you see the altcoins go down, and you instantly want to purchase them when they're down 10%. But we said, you know what? Bitcoin, when it's in this territory over here, you really want to hold off too much, because there's a lot of risk, right? I mean, you could purchase altcoins and they could do quite well, but there's a significant amount of risk. And so the main play, right, was Bitcoin, and then also accumulating some Ethereum, as I mentioned, and Polkadot. And if you look back, right, these are the ones that have been doing the best, right, over the last week or two. These are the ones, at least in the top, that have been doing better, right? And we've talked about XRP before. It's not really one you want to touch until Bitcoin gets to its prior all-time high. Bitcoin Cash is not really one that I think will stay in the top 10 for another market cycle. I don't think it will. Certainly Chainlink was one of the ones we've been saying, you know what, this one is super risky right now because it's coming out of a bubble. Bitcoin's testing the 20-week. You might want to just take a breather. So if you're interested, right, in learning about how all these different coins interact with one another and how we can use the risk levels to identify when is a good accumulation time versus when is it better to just stick with Bitcoin or Ethereum, make sure you sign up on the premium list, and you'll get these alerts, right, which will tell you kind of what do the risk levels say, looking at the current market conditions, which ones are likely, better plays in the short, or better plays maybe in the short term, or which ones you want to kind of hold off for a little bit. And again, it doesn't mean that the prices can't go up on the ones you hold off on. It just means that the risk, right, for every potential return you're hoping to make, you're taking on units of risk, right? And we want to minimize those units of risk, right, while maximizing our potential ROI. So it's not just about your return, your projected return. It's about your risk-adjusted returns, right? And this is why we have all sorts of videos on the efficient frontier, modern portfolio theory, maximizing the Sharpe ratio or the Sortino ratios, looking at various combinations of portfolios. Make sure you go check those out if you haven't. There's also premium videos on those on the premium list. So again, it's complicated, right? But we focus on just a few coins and how we can use those few coins to really grow, wealth within the cryptocurrency asset class, right? And it's not just looking at risk levels of altcoins or Bitcoin against USD. It's also looking at them against Bitcoin and against Ethereum, right? So it's complicated. It's hard for any single human to just intuitively know, where a coin might be with respect to Bitcoin or respect with Ethereum. But by having, all of these risk metrics calculated, interpolated live on the risk dashboard, you get a pretty quick glance as to where coins are in the grand scheme. And then you can use this to dynamically DCA into the market, right? Becoming the smart money coming into the market when the risk is low, right? But also recognizing key times in the market cycle where it makes more sense to focus on Bitcoin because either its proximity to the 20-week moving average or when it's moving quickly, right? If it's moving up quickly and moving down quickly, Bitcoin is where you want to be, right? And as we said, Bitcoin rules the roost. It is the king. It's the one true king. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.